I remember ECW so far back that it was before um, there was an ECW. I remember the early stage of the I was on the early stage of the internet way back in 1990 on a company or a product called Prodigy and Prodigy Internet, and heard it was in some vague magazines too. There was a Tri-State Wrestling Alliance. Um, that was created by Joe Goodhart, Carmelo Panfil, and they're way back to 19. And I said when I started way before ECW, before there was a Tri-State Wrestling Alliance, there was the Squared Circle Radio. Um, Joe Goodhart and Carmelo Panfil, they did a radio show on Sunday at noon on WIP, 610 WIP. It was a sports channel, a sports new radio channel, and they covered wrestling so thoroughly. My God, they covered everything around the world. The reports. They had wrestlers come on. They had so many storylines. They created storylines during the show you thought was really going on for real. I taped one. That NWA later on NWA a promoter named Dennis Caroluzzo was almost apparently arrested or something, and it was a plan. Oh my! They did things so real. I have to give them credit. My God, but Squared Circle Radio. I missed it. I wish they had released the audio tapes of that. I was able to tape one. I put it up on YouTube. He thought he could run a show based on how many wrestlers they had it talked to. They arranged with Jerry the King Lawler that they did Memphis territory bus trips and some other areas around around the East Coast, but bus trips to many shows. Joe Goodhart thought he could run his own running a wrestling company in Delaware, New Jersey, in the Philadelphia area, southeastern Pennsylvania, and he would call it Tri-State Wrestling Alliance. And he collected so many wrestling legends: Jimmy Snuka, Abdul the Butcher. The original Sheik, Terry Funk, Eddie Gilbert. There's so many he collected that were out of work when the NWA kind of closed down. It didn't. We realized the WCW part of the early '90s, and some up and coming wrestlers that were being trained, and he ran for a few years. The problem is he wasn't. Oh, I don't even like this word. Profit. Wrestling fans cannot run a wrestling company because all they want to see is that I want to see this guy against. I want this legend against this legend. He may have been good as a booker to put the matches together. But when it came to running a show, he paid the wrestlers exactly what they wanted without negotiating. Whatever. That's a story I really don't know. I'd rather not be discussing about financing because I'm no expert in finance. So I remember the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance came out of Joel's Square Circle radio show, and I missed that radio show so much. Then one day he had started promoting I wish I'd gone to the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance shows. I did not, and he said that he ran shows in Temple University up in North Philadelphia. I'm not going up in North Philadelphia. Sorry, no. But I wish I'd gone to those shows in the early '90s. But out of high school, I'm looking for work, and I didn't know where these shows were taking place. Word of mouth. That's how Tri-State and ECW started with word of mouth, fan to fan. You had to go look for these shows somehow, find out where they were taking place. And apparently they were taking place also at the Philadelphia Civic Center on the far end, not the convention hall where I always went to, where Jim Crockett had shows. Dusty Rhodes had booked in the Philadelphia Civic Center. At the far end was Pennsylvania Hall. And then Philadelphia Civic Center were three different buildings. Convention Hall, a center part, and then Pennsylvania Hall on the far. And after he had already run shows in that place, and wrestling magazines were posting videos, and I went and purchased videos out of that magazine of those shows. I don't know how or why or how I missed seeing them in person. Then came the news that we're gonna run a show with the original Nature Boy Buddy Rogers versus Tri-State Wrestling Alliance, the TWA Heavyweight Champion Buddy Landell. Wow, that's historical. Then I missed the majority of the show, early January, I believe it was, very opening of January of 1992, and he ends the show. Joel ends the show that the show has been canceled. I didn't even realize this in the last minute of the radio show. It was the last episode of the radio show. I fought, I brawled, I did it all. That's how the show ended. What the hell just happened? I found out through the internet, the vague early versions of the internet, that it just went bankrupt and shut down. What's going to happen? Then I said the vagueness of the internet, word of mouth again, that there was going to be an Eastern Championship Wrestling, and they were I didn't know where Mike Schmidt, the original sports bar, Mike Schmidt's restaurant, Philadelphia Phillies third baseman Mike Schmidt had his own restaurant. And I vaguely heard about that, very vaguely, because I've been to Philadelphia since 1985. I would call myself originally from Philadelphia. You know, raised in Norristown since I was 5 years old, a town a hair away from Philadelphia. I did not know about this restaurant. No idea where it was. To this day, I don't even know where it was. They had many shows there. And the WWE Network, getting a hold of the original ECW, just put out episodes of the original Sports Bar show, episodes from the very early days of ECW, 1992. Then how I learned about this, I think it was in the magazine. I think that they were going to have a show at the Chestnut Cabaret at 38th and Chestnut. Very close to me. I'm 44th and Spruce. I'm very close. Walkable distance. Okay. But here's the thing. When I talk... I learned when I said that the Chestnut Cabaret, it was called Very, Very Small Place. Holy cow. Hell, if people think the ECW arena was small, you just need Chestnut Cabaret nightclub. Very, very small place. It was owned by a cousin of my general manager, our family friend, our general manager of the company in Philadelphia we worked with. It was his cousin owned a lot of properties, so I told my father, how I don't even remember how it worked out, but I think my father talked to his cousin. I can't remember his name, the owner of the property, but he got a hold of him and says, can you let me and my brother are going to go to that show, and can they be let through? And the tickets were, I'm not sure if my name was put aside or tickets were put aside, but I was able to get in the first show. It was September 30th, 1992. They had a little lineup of matches. The magazine from Morocco, Don Morocco, was in the show. And a lot of the very early, the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance stars were over here at ECW, and didn't realize later on, Todd Gordon brought those that worked with Joel's Tri-State Wrestling Alliance over to ECW, and he had opened up Eastern Championship Wrestling. Much later did I learn this. So when my brother and I went to the Chestnut Cabaret show, the show we had a lineup was Don Morocco, and it was Glenn Osborne. It was a mixture of WWF, NWA, and it would become, from Tri-State, it would become ECW stars. These were the initial first stars of ECW. There were a couple Chestnut Cabaret. I think there were two of them we went to. I think I remember the September 30th show. I think there was one other, and I just don't remember it. This is 1992. Then came 1993. Now I had not. I left Philadelphia briefly, lived up with a relative in New York, and I did not learn that they moved into a warehouse in South Philadelphia. It was called Viking Hall, and that was a warehouse for the Mummer String Band, the Viking String Band, and it was originally called Viking Hall when I first went there, and that was until October of 1993. I think they were moved in about May, I think. What's more and more upset and more disturbing, I did not learn about the ECW arena, and word of mouth, and they did TV tapings in spring and in the summer of 1993. And their TV tapings were so vague and finding, despite the fact we had cable TV. I think it was somehow a very vague Channel 7. You think, what the heck is Channel 7 in Philadelphia? Somehow, some way, it came through. A very vague, what the heck is a Channel 7? Somehow in the UHF channel, or I don't know what it was. Somehow I found something, and I found an episode of ECW. They had TV, and they were pushing for the coming at the ECW arena at Rittner Swanson, South Philadelphia. I'm sure I'm trying to figure out where the hell this is, and I think I rode my bike. Now still riding my bike. No, I didn't learn. No, I didn't get to start to drive until at least year 2000. So I was riding my bike down there trying to find the place. Then, what's more disturbing historically now, I now know, Tito Santana, who became a lifetime favorite, much time after he already retired in 1993, he worked with ECW in August of 1993, and I didn't go to the ECW arena until October. I did not learn about the ECW arena until September or October of 1993. How in the world I missed the whole of 1993? I don't know. They didn't promote that really well. I don't know why they wouldn't try to promote if they refer to the newspaper or radio. I didn't know about it. I did not get, and Tito Santana worked with them. I totally missed that time. Oh, I would have loved to see Tito Santana in the arena, but I was able to find through tape trading. Tape trading was a huge market in the 1990s. Wow, I built a big tape collection. Eventually when I did a couple of times, I quit watching wrestling. That I ended up selling it or giving tapes away, and I was able to obtain a tape through tape trading or purchasing tapes. A taping of the ECW episodes, and where Tito won the ECW title from Don Morocco. They did that match because WWF missed the pinfall of Tito pinning Don Morocco in 1984. They had the whole match, but they missed the pinfall. So ECW wanted to fix that. That's why they did that match, and because they're so close, and Philadelphia is so close to Tito living in New Jersey. But Tito said he called ECW not my cup of tea. It wasn't even in Extreme years, but he won the title he won the ECW heavyweight title. Why would you win a title? Why would you want to have him win? Or why would you want to win a title when you're not going to even want to stay with the company? He's going to work with so many different independents. He's not going to be a mainstay. So I don't know why they had him win a title. But he ended up surrendering it, and Shane Douglas have claimed to have won it by forfeit, but it's another story where Shane Douglas got the title from Tito Santana. Anyway, the first show was my first ECW show, Eastern Championship Wrestling, was October 1st and 2nd, 1993. The Blood Feast tapings. Wow, well, these two tapings filled with, holy cow, so many matches, so many stars. And one team that really stood out to me for many, many years, one of my favorite ECW it became a favorite ECW tag team of mine, Public Enemy. Rocco Rock and Johnny Grunge became what the Rock and Roll were to me with my initial time with NWA Worldwide Wrestling as a Jim Crockett Promotions fan. Public Enemy became my favorite team for ECW. They got the fans' attention, and I learned, and through ECW. One thing about ECW is you learn a lot. You learn, even though if you're not listening to radio, you hear a lot of so much new rock music. Besides, Jim Crockett with Dusty Rhodes, they had so many of their wrestlers using rock and country music, and they never paid for music copyrights. ECW did the same thing, and you learn a lot. You heard. I mean, if you're watching TV or you're at the arena, you hear so many new music of the '90s. How I get the tickets to that Blood Feast taping, and they were promoting. Todd Gordon was still associated, or he is. I found just recently in 2019, he is still associated. He is still owner of Carver W. Reed, a jewelry store. Wow, after all these years, wow, it's incredible. I went into the jewelry store and met Todd Gordon. Oh my God, Todd Gordon, the founder of ECW. I mean, it's like. For someone from Philadelphia, for someone who's created a promotion we can all go to locally, this is gonna sound so strange, but from a Philadelphia-based company that you can go to on a monthly basis, and I went to dozens. I wish I could say 100. Dozens of shows at ECW Arena. He became. You're all gonna find me crazy. Certifiable for saying this, the Vince McMahon of Philadelphia. How could you possibly compare Vince McMahon and Todd Gordon? I'm not comparing Todd Gordon to Vince McMahon whatsoever. But you gotta realize Vince McMahon, even though he was the announcer, we later realized he was the owner of WWF, and we didn't know Dusty Rhodes was booking Jim Crockett either. Todd Gordon was our Vince McMahon of a wrestling we fell in love with. Was worth watching, worth going to the show. Met Todd Gordon. Would you mind signing his name on a it was a little piece of paper. I lost it. I don't know where it is. That hurt so much. I had Todd Gordon's autograph. There's a story when I was at the Carver W. Reed jewelry store. There's a story I've never told. I typed it out once on the internet. I'm going to tell this story here. When I bought the ticket for the October 1st and 2nd Blood Feast tapings, I didn't know who was standing behind me. I don't want to insult him. Maybe as a fan, it hurt. Back then, it hurt this wrestler. I wasn't a fan of him. And I want to retract that it was so disrespectful. I didn't realize he was standing behind me, and it was so disrespectful. I'll say sorry to you when I say his name. Todd Gordon asks, "Are you a fan of JT Smith, this young black wrestler, who I think he was he had worked with Tri-State Wrestling Alliance too. He was definitely from the opening ECW. Nah, I don't think much of him." He goes like this. Oh God, his face was mad. He was mad. Like, no, thanks a lot for nothing. I'm so sorry, JT Smith. I'm so sorry. It was disrespectful, but I guess being honest, I don't think much of him. Now, oh yeah, legendary, one of the original ECW Tri-State wrestlers, ECW wrestlers. Yes, I respect you now. I'm so sorry for saying that back then, JT Smith. But there's that story I never told. Now I went to that taping, and oh my God, it was so many matches, so many memorable matches, so many steel cage matches. There was a 3-way steel cage match. I also became I know. Okay, yeah, I remember the 3-way steel cage match with I think it's Harris Brothers, the Harris Brothers, Public Enemy, and the Axel Rotten. There were so many wrestlers. Kevin Sullivan. There were so many matches, so many wrestlers from that October 1st and 2nd Blood Feast tapings. There's another story I want to tell. No, it was I went to so many dozens of ECW shows at the ECW arena. There's another show. There was a show I remember. I had to go to it before he passed away. He was so up in age. I can't remember off the top of my head. I didn't look up the records when the show took place. The original Sheik, Ed Farhart, would be at the arena. I think it was a tag team match. I had to be there. There's so many wrestlers that I didn't get to see. They were legendary. Hell, I was there for when Kevin Sullivan was there. There were so many legendary wrestlers at the ECW arena that I got to see the original Sheik. I was there, and though it wasn't. Looking back, I can't even remember the match. At least I could say I was in presence of the original Sheik. Wow. ECW had contracted. No, I won't say contracted, but they had hired so many of legendary wrestlers over the times. It wasn't even that point. We were the dedicated fans. This was a company worth going to see, let alone how much money you paid. I was even able to talk my father into going to a show. It's wrestling, but he didn't know what he was in for. No, for him, wrestling was WWF, I guess. No, it was NWA. But yeah, I had to go bring him to a show. Local enough, he says, "Well, it ain't the Spectrum, so what's this?" So, it was Heatwave 1994, so July of 1994. And the feature match was a barbed wire match between Public Enemy and the Funk Brothers, Terry and Dory Funk. You could see this in the show itself, the Heatwave '94 show, and I clipped it to YouTube. The two most memorable moments. When my now late father, he passed in 2016. He was a huge wrestling fan. I would admit it. He'd always try to. He had an obsession was trying to prove wrestling was fake. We don't like using that word, I know. He was a huge fan of his two favorites were Polish Power Ivan Putski and Chief J Strongbro. Since my father said he was part Native American, but he's a huge fan of those two. When I brought him to the ECW arena, and it was a moment where Taz now, approached the ring, and a photographer was in his way. He grabbed the photographer, threw him against ringside. We were only ropes. There was no railings. There was ropes. The reporter bounces off my father. My God, my father was a big guy, 260 pounds. He was a big guy. He bounced right off of him. You don't see him make impact with my father, but you can see him bounce off. Yeah, I have it on YouTube as a taping. Oh my God. I even was able to talk my boss, our general manager Danny, and his kids go to the show. He was thinking a WWF show probably, and I was able to talk him into coming to this show. They went into the Public Enemy went among the audience, which was normal. He was holding his kids. ECW had so many constant memories in its early years, and look now today, all people look back as into the later 90s, 94 to 96, 98, when it became Extreme Championship Wrestling. I remember Eastern Championship Wrestling. I wish I was there for the August 1994 show. I was there for I was at the July 1994 show with my father, Heatwave, and they announced our next show will feature a tournament for the vacant NWA World Heavyweight title. Oh, I'm glad to be there, but somehow I missed it. Oh, unfortunate. I wasn't there for the historical Shane Douglas throwing the title belt down. Man, ECW had so many memories. My last show there was 1996. I don't know, something turned me off. I know, maybe it was me. I got bored. And I actually, you're all fine. Why you walked out on a show? Yes, I walked out on a show. I got bored and I went home. I don't know. And I continued watching it into the end, to the end of ECW, then into late 1990s. But I wanted to talk my time of how I, ECW's from Philadelphia. Is it was in Philadelphia, based in Philadelphia, and I'm from Philadelphia. I wanted to talk about ECW. How why I stopped watching ECW. Um, don't know why. But I watched it on TV rather than going to the arena. I went to so many ECW shows. I don't know why I stopped going, but I wanted to talk about my memories of ECW.